Hello everyone from New York City and welcome to today's session. My name is Guy Franklin and I'm the Managing Director of SOSA NYC, which is an open innovation platform which connects corporations, governments and cities to the world's most innovative technologies and ecosystems in the areas of cybersecurity, data-driven solutions, and Industry 4.0. And we are operating the Global Cyber Center of the City of New York in partnership with the NYC EDC. The current situation with COVID-19 has shown us just how vulnerable the global markets are to an unpredictable events. We, here at SOSA NYC, continue to work remotely and continue to provide value to the corporations and governments we work with, as well as to the startup and VC community. In these uncertain times, where things change on a daily basis, and there are many questions regarding working remotely with the team and clients, managing business and HR issues, and many more, we decided to act fast and be proactive in addressing these issues. Today, we have our first online event, one of many to come in the next few weeks. So please stay tuned. In this event, we partner with Bank Leumi USA, Meitar Law Firm, and Escalon Financial Services. All of them are ecosystem partners of SOSA NYC for a while and are continuing to provide value and support to our community in these challenging times. I'd like to introduce today's panelist and moderator, all based physically in New York City, Edith Florentine Carmon, VP People at Wix US, Omrit Amir, CEO at Check and former Senior Vice President at Datorama, which was acquired by Salesforce, and our moderator, Tomer Shani, Managing Director at Meitar New York. A recorded version of this webinar will be available. At this point, I want to wish all of you to stay safe and healthy. Without further ado, Tomer Shani, please.
Thanks, Guy. So challenging time indeed, and I'm very excited to be part of this novel. I mean, we hear the word novel in a quite different context quite often these days, and it is very exciting to be involved in this novel event. Just a couple of words about myself. As Guy mentioned, we are very proud SOSA partners, and thank you, SOSA, for putting this together, for holding this event. I am the Managing Director of Meitar New York, a recently established offshoot of Meitar Law Firm, which is Israel's leading tech firm and Israel's leading international firm. We are available here in New York, working out of New York to support the Israeli startup community in the city. And we are all the more excited to do this in challenging times. So as we said, that we are living through challenging times and a rapidly changing situation. The situation is unprecedented in so many ways, and the pressing need to practice social distancing presents so many challenges to people like those in our community who not only enjoy social proximity, but also rely on it very heavily as a way of living and a way of work. We obviously don't know how long and how long this situation is gonna last for. But given the aggressive steps that are still being taken by government at all levels to check the spread of the coronavirus, it seems reasonable to predict it will go further and further into the future than we all hoped or previously anticipated. To discuss some of the challenges presented by the situation through this unique platform, we have two excellent speakers who can probably do a much better job at introducing themselves than I can. So, Omri, why won't you go first?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Omri Amir. I'm the COO of Check and working with a few startups in the city as board of advisors. Happy to be here.
Edith?
Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Edith from Wix. Wix is a global company. We have offices all around the world, in Israel, but also globally, including the United States, and I'm here in New York, managing the HR department for the
Great.
US.
Great. So before we get started, we wanted to engage our participants and ask a couple of questions just so that we know where everyone is from and So first question to the audience, where is everyone from? Where are you based? I guess we will be getting the results shortly. Wow. That's a very nice spread. Almost like the coronavirus spread. Okay, so results are coming. Okay, I can still see, I still cannot see the results. I guess we will be getting, okay, I think the question has been properly propped up now so that everyone can simply click on the right, on the applicable button and then send it over. Okay, so it looks like 77% of our participants are based in the United States, 17% are in Israel, and then 5% are in Europe and 2% in Asia. That's impressive. I guess we can proceed to another question, and that would be, I mean, that question is actually going to be, and that question is going to be, how many employees work at your company? Again, just so that we can get a better sense of who is participating in our panel. Okay. So it looks like a vast majority, like 40% of the participants work for companies with more than 100 employees. About 20 work for smaller companies of 1 to 10, and then 33% work for 11 to 50. That's the second largest group, and the 7% for 51 to 100. Interesting. Alrighty. So I think it's a good time to ask a couple of questions, ask our panelists a couple of questions. And the first question goes to both Idit and Omri. What do you guys see happening in the market right now? Do you see differences across different sectors? I mean, what do you generally see these days? Again, and I appreciate that that your answer to this question would have been different if we asked it a couple of days ago. It's probably going to be different if we ask it 2 days from now, but you know, it still is what it is. What do you guys see?
Did you want to take it?
No, go ahead, start.
So I think everybody see what happens in the market in general. I would like to focus maybe on what's interesting for this audience, which is the startup ecosystems. I think that this is a time of distress. No one should, underestimate the effect. But I think we should also remember that it will pass eventually. I would recommend mainly 3 things or 2 things. One is to reevaluate your 2020 plans if you haven't done it so far. I think most of the companies that I am speaking with done it. I think you should challenge the forecast and you should take a decision on every expenditure, basically. On the other hand, I would use the opportunities lens. I would look into opportunities, not in order to leverage on the situation, just in order to make sure you use this time to improve first and foremost internally, maybe using the time to improve things you didn't get to improve before, show some leadership, You also can leverage it in order to shape your product, shape your methods of working with customers, and make sure you're a real partner for your customers at this period. Lastly, I think it's also a very good opportunity to work and help your community, whatever your community is, make sure that you're actually doing good in these times as a company.
Thank you. Edith?
Yeah, I just want to add to that, that I think that companies will have to show a lot of flexibility, because we see that every day there are news, there are more restrictions, and I think we learn as we go. So we have to really learn quickly and take actions accordingly, and companies that are more flexible will be able to go through.
Okay. So Edith, literally all companies have moved to work remotely by now. And the very few who may have not done it so far will probably do it very soon. How do you think this affects the internal communication within the organizations, within the various organizations? Again, I appreciate that your answer may be different with respect to small organizations, big organizations, and organizations of different nature, but still.
Well, yeah, it definitely changes everything, and everything that we're used to and the way we're communicating usually changes. I can say from my organization specifically, we're now working very hard on communicating all the time. So in every channel, from management, from managers, from team leaders, HR, we're trying to communicate as much as we can. Because of the changing status all the time. And it definitely changes the way we do it. We're trying to be far more structured, we're coming up with updates that are broadcast, which is something that is a little bit also new to us. So we're doing all sort of things that are new, in order to have everyone be on the same page, but definitely a change and challenging.
Omri, do you agree that it changes everything?
I think I agree that it changes a lot. I think that in most of the startup companies are used to work remotely in a way. So I think in the short term, everybody are used to working with the Slack and Zoom and email. I totally all new building the teams, the culture of the company, and I think it also open on how the day of your teams
To me, an opportunity that they want to have the opportunity to talk to their peers, talk to their friends about issues they have during the workday, and just have human interaction, human proximity, which we are now urged to avoid. What do you guys think companies can do about
how they used to work? And I've been hearing all sort of, very creative ideas on how to maintain that. So there are teams who would prefer to do a very strict schedule on when they meet, even if it's for fun, like coffee breaks, lunch, fun activities and stuff like that. And, sync meetings, maybe more occasionally. And there are teams that would rather just keeping the camera open for 2 hours and just interact spontaneously with each other. And, it really depends on how the team is willing and to work at this point. And yeah, maybe I think at this point, at least at Wix, I feel that we're doing above and beyond to communicate and to keep everyone synced. And I think it's a little bit of overkill, okay, at this moment. And I think it will slow down and it will reshape itself as we go. And it will be more balanced, I believe. But for now, because it's new to everyone, we're just doing whatever we can. We're just testing everything.
And is there any magical solution for the issue of inefficiency, internal inefficiency? I mean, again, I keep hearing from companies that they feel like they're wasting far too much time on useless and needless calls. Is that something you have any strong recommendations about?
No, I think if you look at productivity, if we see that it harms productivity, yeah, we definitely need to do something about it. I think currently, what I've been hearing so far from the company is the other way around. Like people are now currently more productive. They're excited of the new mode of work. Sometimes if they don't have kids on their lap or, dogs barking, but overall, I think people are, adjusting to this new mode and then doing their best. So as long as it doesn't harm productivity, I think it will balance and it will change. Once it starts harming productivity, that's maybe a different question. This is where the manager needs to come in and monitor it and see what's right.
Okay. Omri, how about external communication? I mean, how do you keep in touch with your customers these days? I mean, like, what do you do? How is your sales force communicating with prospective and existing customers, for example?
I think as most of the questions that will be here, it varies between, different businesses. I mean, obviously, it's very different if you're a bricks and mortars or if you're a software startup, for instance. Generally speaking, I would suggest two measures here. One, I'm a strong believer in transparency with customers, and I think that it will be wise to actively, but smartly, I would say, control the conversation with the customers and try to actively reach out and make sure you deliver the message you want to deliver. And it should be around confidence, it should maybe around business as usual, and it also may be around the measures that you take in order to make sure that you provide your business is up and running. I know it's very different between businesses. If I'm brick and mortars, I'll speak about hygiene measures, or if I'm United Airlines. If I'm a software company, it may talk about the implementation that I'm running on-premise, whatever. The other aspect I would say is compassion. I think that's the time to make sure you're a real partner to your customers. That's the time to hear them, to listen, to make sure you understand their pains, to be there for them, even if it costs a little bit. I think in the long run, it will, the payback will be big.
And even in times when companies are very conscious about their costs?
Again, it depends on the situation, yeah. But I think most of the customers right now will be cost oriented, and I think that's the time to offer whatever you can offer, even if it's. I see a lot of companies, by the way, reaching out with a discount, because it's better to be in a situation when you reach out to your customers and say, we're with you and let me offer you that, than being passive and reply to their request on that front. So it's not about reaching out to everybody offering discounts. It's about to choose your smart path, maybe segmented approach towards different customers, and make sure that you are perceived and you're really and honestly and genuinely their partner. And I'm sure it will eventually will be good for you also.
Okay, so on that note, as you mentioned before, the situation, which is, I mean, the key word is uncertainty. I mean, like that the situation is more uncertain than anything else. And obviously it presents a lot of challenges, but also a couple of opportunities that you touched upon very briefly before and in this answer. Companies can take the time to better their technological solutions, their work process, and so on and so forth. But at least for specific companies, there will also be some interesting opportunities in terms of their general business. Do you think there's any, or there will be any reputational risks associated with trying to capitalize on the situation for the purpose of making business gains?
So in my point of view, definitely yes. But I would say that, I'm sure nobody here wants to leverage this crisis in order to benefit on the expense of someone else. So, because this is just, something wrong to do. And on the opposite, we need to leverage it in order to work with and for the communities. Having said that, and as we mentioned just 1 minute before, I think everybody should try and find their angle to this situation and adopt a different way of working. It can be related to the marketing message. It can be related to the sales pitch. It can be related to the working methods that we implement internally. But you can find some opportunities in order to make sure that within this storm, you actually improve and get stronger, and you go out of it even stronger.
Okay, so Idit, how do you manage your workforce in light of them in the wake of this, very challenging environment? I mean, what do you do in terms of? Obviously, the environment presents quite a few challenges. Some of which, we've touched upon the obvious ones, but there are also some other issues. Obviously, the concern that people have about their job security is increasing. And at the very same time, people also have health concerns, which, we don't need to explain, as well as issue stemming from the fact that they have the family is home and they need to work with the kids around. Not all of them have solutions. Many of the solutions that would have otherwise been available are not available these days. What can companies do to mitigate this?
All right. So maybe there are two different answers to that. So one, in terms of productivity, I think in terms of okay, I don't know if I'm freezing or not, but I'll keep talking. So in terms of, okay. In terms of productivity, I think that it's managed by the team leaders and managers. Everyone knows what's the status of their team, special needs that they have. People are either with families at home or the other way around, very lonely in this situation. I think, every manager know kind of how to navigate and see how the team, if the team is able to work on a regular pace, or they need to slow down. So this is something that we're monitoring all the time, and I see a lot of cooperation, and I see a lot of people covering each other and helping. So that's a nice thing to see now in teams happening. So that's one thing that I think will help everyone, just to see if we're able to do what we're supposed to do and reprioritize and focus. The other aspect of it is we're really trying to present and this all the solutions that we can for our employees and managers. So introducing training sessions on how to work remotely, and all managerial tools that we can support one-on-one and all of that. And also in terms of benefits, health, employee assistance program that I'm sure every company has these days, just to make sure that everything is available, and we're still able to hear what's going on and kind of feel the pulse of the organization, even when we're all remote.
Okay, I mean, like, as a kind of a side note, one thing I can say is that, in my small team of about 12 members, we've decided to try and hold Zoom meetings at least once or twice a week. And the feedback I've received was that even if there's nothing to talk about, and by the way, we had a lot to talk about these days. I mean, like, obviously, it's a rapidly evolving situation, and we want to brainstorm and hear what people feel and think. But the main feedback I got from my guys was that it was great to see each other. I mean, like, people appreciated the opportunity to, we can't be together and we love being together, and they just appreciated the opportunity to see each other and chat. So, that would be my 2 cents.
And I think, by the way, that you see all around, and it's great to see that, most of the startups already implemented some kinds of replacements for the casual daily meetings. So you see it in the online happy hours. You can see even, pizza lunch. You can see coffee breaks, as you did mention. Daily meetings, stand-up meetings. You can see it all over. I even saw a yoga lesson online instead of in the office. That's great. And then the more will be like that, we'll see it, I guess.
Okay. Edith, what do you think should be the main message conveyed by management to employees these days? I mean, obviously, there is some tension between the need to keep the organization going, the need to keep everyone healthy, and the need to help people deal with this very unique situation in their families and their homes that they are forced to deal with.
Yeah.
So is there a need to prioritize it for them, to convey a message about priorities,
I think from management, prioritizing for each, team, that's something I believe the managers are doing for teams, and then it rolls up, so it's reflected to the management. But I think in terms of messaging by the management to employees about the situation, I know at least for Wix, we're trying to be as transparent as we can. So just be very truthful with what's happening to the business, what's happening inside, what we can or can't do, what we're expecting people to do and how to act. That's kind of the message. Again, we're very fortunate to be in the industry that we are, so we're able to continue almost business as usual, but I think that's important. It builds trust, and this is something that we definitely want to maintain in this very unusual time.
And what about, do you have any tips for the many companies who have no choice but to part ways with some of their employees at this point? First, what should they be doing with those employees with whom they have no choice but to part ways? And B, what message should be conveyed to the other employees who are not let go at this point?
Yeah, well, again, fortunately, we're not in this situation, but I think a lot of the companies went through waves of layoffs back in 2008, and I've seen how companies act. I think companies are doing above and beyond when it comes to mass layoffs in terms of what the resources that a company can offer for employees. It could start with even helping you organize your LinkedIn and connecting you with the network that we have. Again, employee assistance plans are developed accordingly. So everything a company can do in order to help employees in this situation, I think they should do.
And this question actually goes to both of you, but you can get started. Do you think companies should change their hiring plans and their approach to hiring? Obviously, hiring plans will change. That's inevitable. But how should it change, and how should the approach to hiring and to firing change under the circumstances? Obviously, business is not as usual, even in a company like Wix where business is allegedly as usual. But you're not operating in a usual environment. So
sure. So yeah, I think again, two sides to that answer. One is the capacity, like how can we go on with hiring on a regular pace? What are the priorities? What are our abilities to onboard people? Do we even want to hire people that we never met in person? I don't know. We at Wix, we like personal connections. It's very hard for us to imagine hiring people without even meeting them. So I think all of that is in question, and I think that according to the teams and the priorities, we will have to see what's the right course of action. In terms of the general message from management, we don't know what we don't know. So I think our plan is to start, see how we deal with the next few hiring that we have, and see how it goes. And if it goes well, yeah, maybe we can continue, maybe we can expedite that. If it doesn't go well, we'll need to revisit and to come up with new hiring processes or tools. But I think it's too early to come with a ground rule for hiring in these times.
Okay, Tamir, Omri, what's your take on that?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And basically, I think the most important thing here is flexibility. I think it's a case by case for every company, for every hire. Basically, I assume that roles supporting revenue that we don't expect will be hurt. We'll continue to hire. Roles that are more on the side of nice to have or new initiatives or will be questionable. We'll see in a week or in 2 weeks maybe, and we'll take it case by case. This is the approach, I think. There is no better approach right now.
So again, this may not be a fair question, but what happens if you have to fire someone because of performance these days? I mean, obviously, again, as I said to you before, it's not business as usual. I mean, that person is not going to have the same opportunities out there in the market as he or she would have had under different circumstances. I mean, do you think that itself should change companies' approach to letting people go?
It's a lose-lose question. To an extent, yes, because I think we should be very, again, compassionate, and I think we should treat fairly employees more than ever, because I think they'll have harder chances to find new roles out there. Eventually, it won't be a smart move, to keep everybody to the point you're crashing, right? So again, it's a balance between being a fair employer to keeping your company live and kicking. That's my only point.
Got it. Okay, so we received quite a few questions from our participants in this panel. Obviously, we won't have time to cover all of them, so apologies to those who bothered to send questions and we won't have time to cover here. We will be happy to follow up through different means. So one question that has been asked is how to innovate after the first quick fixes. How can companies ensure that they are prepared for what comes after the pandemic, after a pandemic like the present COVID-19? This is probably for you, Omri.
It's a hard one. I think there is a lot of room for innovation when it comes to go-to-market. I think these kinds of situations, distress markets, are quite good ground actually to make sure you're focused in the right target audience, in the right go-to-market approach and so on. I think it forces you basically to think harder on what is your unique selling point in a way. So I think there is a lot of innovation and creative thinking more than innovation that can be done around that. And I don't know about innovation when it comes to product and so on. But I think more on the GTM, on the go-to-market front, I think there is a lot of chances and opportunities to focus better than before.
Okay, another question which is probably for Edith is, how do you balance asking for others' help while also offering your help to support their needs?
Yeah, I think there's, again, I don't think there's a ground rule for that. I just need to be super sensitive to what's going on in every team. So it's like, yeah, whoever can help. But I think managers here are required to be very attentive and to focus on the well-being of their team. I think also HR is trying to kind of touch the teams and see what's going on. But yeah, what we see so far is the other way, like a lot of cooperation. Like everyone wants to help, everyone understands that this is super unusual. Everyone is motivated to make it happen and work and to kind of win this. So I think everyone's doing their best still. You know, we need to listen to employees, we need to see where the issues comes up, we need to offer help.
So another actually related question is how to try and mitigate panic among employees without sounding patronizing. I mean, obviously, I can totally see where the question is coming from. I think it's a good one. I mean, as employers, we have some obligation to our employees to try and help them out. But then again, you know, this probably calls into question more than any other event that I have personally experienced, the nature of relationship between employers and employees.
So I'm not sure it goes together by definition. I think that, and indeed mentioned it a few minutes ago, I think the main theme here should be transparency and leadership. As long as you're transparent and you say out loud very clearly, this is the situation, these are the problems, this is what I'm going to do now, that's the plan. If in times of uncertainty, me as employee, or whatever, I always seek for leadership, for someone who addresses the challenge, being very transparent around it, and share the plan. And the second issue is that the plan in these times can change every single minute, basically, or every single day. So if you're transparent and you take your decision, you stand behind your decisions, and you're flexible, I think that's the best recommendation I can give.
Okay. Omri, another question to you, a very practical one, is what is the best platform, what are the best platforms to communicate virtually for meetings of more than 40 participants?
Not sure I remember every limit of every platform right now, but most of the companies in our domain are working with either webinar or video conferencing platforms such as Zoom, Hangouts, and so on. Platforms for project management and task management, such as Monday.com, which is also an Israeli big startup already, are actually in heavy use also. Asana, things like that.
All right. Now, Edith, a question for you, which I found really interesting, is that people may feel these days that they're being micromanaged to an extent that is not the same as they're used to. How do you deal with that? I mean, how do you keep an organization's culture under these circumstances?
Yeah, so micromanagement and organizational culture, maybe this two different questions. About micromanaging, yeah, I think it's a new situation to everyone, and everyone wants to make sure that they're on top of things. And I think I mentioned that before. I think we're now like a little bit overdoing it. A lot of meetings, a lot of things. I think within time, like we don't know how long it's gonna last, but I think within time that will balance. And if there are managers that are naturally, not micromanaging on the day-to-day, that everyone will return to their natural mode. I believe. I've seen that happening already now that we've been working like this for about 2 weeks. So it changes within time. And organizational culture, that's a big question, because a lot of the employee experience that we invest time and effort on is also on how our offices look, and hanging out together and what we're doing and parties and all of that. And this is something that we're now working together with the wellness team and the employee experience team to kind of figure out what are the alternatives, and we're already starting to do that. And I think it's not only transforming the physical events or the offices into like the virtual mode, but it's also, I think culture is also on how we treat people and how we do things. And I feel like every company, according to their culture, is trying to communicate in the way that is, that translates the values to in everything we do, in every message and everything we do. So I think we're trying to do that as well. But that's a big question. Like we don't know we don't know the effect of it.
So another question that just came in for you is whether you see more opportunities for HR outsourcing services rather than full-time employees within your company.
Again, I for me, it's too soon. I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
Not yet, I guess. I mean, like you probably will have in I don't know.
No, I really
Who
don't.
knows?
Exactly. So let's see.
Okay.
Next pandemic,
Okay.
I'll let you know in the next pandemic, worldwide, globally pandemic.
Concluding remarks in one sentence, Edith?
I think, everyone, at least for my team and HR and Wix, I think we're trying to keep the good spirit. I think we're trying to be creative as much as we can during these times, and keep up the good spirit and the teamwork and collaboration while keeping up the work and motivation of people. So just wish everybody to do as well.
And Omri?
Couldn't agree more. I think my main thing, I think, is around communication. Don't underestimate actively managing and approaching internal communication as well as customer communication. I think it's a lot about that right now.
Okay, thank you guys, and thanks to all our panel participants and to our partners at Leumi USA, Ascalon Services, us in Mita, of course, and of course SOSA. We will follow up via email with some benefits that our partners can offer under the present circumstances to try and help. As I said in my opening remarks, we are living through challenging times. But for what it's worth, I am confident that humanity and the tech community will emerge from this stronger, wiser, and stronger and wiser, and that many opportunities are waiting for all of us on the other side of the river that we still need to cross. It's a very rough river, but we will cross it at some point, and that there's a lot to look forward to. Thanks everyone. It's been very exciting, and hopefully, we can't be more genuine in saying that we very much look forward to seeing you in person. We do miss the personal interaction, and I'm confident that very soon we will be together again. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye. Keep healthy.
Thank you very much.